noise!
Hello and welcome to another edition of Truth and Rhythm, brought to you by funkandstuff.net. This is the interview show that gets deep in the pocket with contemporary music's foremost masters of the groove. I'm your host, Scott Dr. Jake Skolfine, musicologist and author of Everything's on the One, the First Guide to Funk. If you don't have your copy, get on over to Amazon and pick one up. You'll be so glad you did. Whether you're watching the video version of this at funkandstuff.net or on YouTube, or listening to the audio-only podcast version from providers like iTunes and Spotify, as always, I thank you so much for your continued interest and support in the show. Speaking of which, if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the Funk and Stuff channel on YouTube. That's where Truth and Rhythm lives. All kinds of goodies. You'll get early premieres, and it's all free, so make sure you sign up. Tell a friend, tell family. Also, get your official Truth and Rhythm and Funk and Stuff gear at the funkandstuff.net store. Cool stuff like I'm wearing right here. Truth and Rhythm shirts. Show your support and love of the show and also the musicians and the music that they represent. Also want to give a shout out to the Funk Exhibition Center and Hall of Fame in Dayton, Ohio, of which I'm very proud to be an official funk ambassador. Go to thefunkcenter.org to learn more and keep the funk alive. And now, with all that, it's time to get on with the show. Enjoy. Good evening. Do not attempt to adjust your device. There is nothing wrong. We have taken control as to bring you this special message. We will return to you as soon as you are grooving. Welcome to station TIR, better known as Truth and Rhythm, with a very special giveaway. Sponsored by Modern Retro Radio at modernretrofm.com, you can win a free copy of Everything's on the One, the First Guide of Funk. Simply email info@funkandstuff.net with Funk Me in the subject line. Tell us what you love about Truth and Rhythm and include your mailing information. That's it, and your free book will be on its way. As a bonus, name the first guest ever to appear on Truth and Rhythm, and your book will be signed by the author. This is a limited time offer while supplies last. Thanks to Modern Retro Radio and all of the TIR supporters. Now, kick back, dig, while we do attune your eardrums. And me, I'm known as Scott Goldfine, alias Dr. GX, and my motto is, keep on vibrating to the rhythm of the one. I'm delighted to welcome to the Truth and Rhythm Mothership singer Jannetta Boyce-Warren, a member of funk powerhouse Zapp, one of the most successful R&B groups of the 1980s. She also contributed to several other acts under the umbrella of bandleader-producer Roger Troutman, including his solo albums and those by Bobby Glover, The Human Body, Sugarfoot from the Ohio Players, and Shirley Murdoch. In recent years, along with other original band members, she's performed under the name Zapp Anthology, continuing to bring revered favorites to fans like More Bounce to the Ounce, Dancefloor, Heartbreaker, I Can Make You Dance, Do-Wah-Diddy, I Heard It Through the Grapevine, and Computer Love. Those are certainly among my most beloved and favorite songs. Jannetta, welcome. How are you?
Hi, Scott. I'm good. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Thank you for coming.
I didn't realize my list was that long.
Yeah, see? Very impressive.
Okay.
Yeah. So where are you coming to us from today?
I'm coming from my home here in Dayton, Ohio. The land of funk, the funk capital, all that stuff. Home of the Wright Brothers.
Uh-huh.
National Cash Register. Dayton, Ohio.
We share that Wright Brothers connection, you know, me being in North Carolina, so.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, yeah.
First in flight.
That's right.
Uh-huh.
So how you been holding up this year? I mean, it's been so trying for all of us. How's it been going for you?
It's been going pretty good. It was different. I had to be furloughed for like 3 months. But it was good going back to work, and my husband had to be, well, he ended up working from home, so he's still working from home. But the good thing was, I was here with my children. My son was in college at the time, and when they first started, he was actually on spring break, and he came home and just stayed home. He's been home ever since, but he is back in school. He's just not out there he was at Wilmington College here in Ohio, so he's closer to home now. So he can do everything online from home too.
Yeah, well, hopefully in 2021, we'll get back toward normalcy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm,
But
I'm praying for it because, yeah, a lover of music and being outside and all the concerts and plays and all that kind of stuff. I really missed it this year. But
absolutely.
I saw a lot of stuff online now, and it's got me used to this what they call Zoom and something the other day. All the live concerts online, so I'm getting used to it now.
Yeah, people adjust, and I think that we're going to end up finding a lot of good music coming out of this while people have been, kind of sequestered and, forced to kind of go into the woodshed and come up with some new music maybe,
Right, right.
you know.
Like me, I've been in here working in the studio, my son's studio. I had nothing else to do. It's a good thing, just convenient, just having it right here. When I can get up any time of night and say, hey, put me a track on. Let's go to work.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank goodness for technology, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
So we were supposed to do this a couple weeks ago, but I had my silly bike accident and I'm still recovering here. So don't make me laugh too hard, Jannetta, because I might grimace.
Yeah. We don't want any more broken ribs from you. Or you
No.
doing okay?
Yeah, it's kind of slow going. I get impatient, but I got to really just take it easy for a while and ease
Yeah.
back into things like I am with this right now. So,
Yeah. Being older is harder to heal too. Yeah. Take it easy.
yeah. Well, I was just trying to get some activity during this pandemic by getting out there and riding the bike, and then look what happens.
I know. And when you told me that, it was so funny because I've been trying to do the same thing. Get out here on this trail. I'm like, I'm going to get my bike out. I'm getting out on the trail. Oh my God. But
Yeah, well,
I'm
just be
okay.
careful.
Yeah.
Everybody be careful out there, yeah. So, I've been a big fan, of course, since, first hearing that incredible thump to More Bounce to the Ounce back in 1980 and followed, we'll talk more about as we get into the questions, but I just wanted to say, big fan from the get-go and went to a lot of the shows in the early, mid-'80s, and so it's great to finally sit down with you. I was in Los Angeles, that's where I used to live, so I saw all those tours when they came through. I didn't miss any of the funk when it came through.
Okay. Yeah, so
Yeah,
we were always playing Long Beach Arena.
right?
We were out in San Diego a lot. We actually, San Francisco, Cal Palace. Oh yeah, we stayed out there.
Yep. Yeah, I enjoyed it for sure. Well, let's jump in, Jannetta. We got a lot to talk about, and you're from Dayton, right?
Yes,
Originally. Uh huh.
I'm originally from Dayton. Yes.
Yeah. So, what was it like for you growing up, and how did you gravitate toward music?
You know, as a little girl, I would see all these fancy cars going up and down the street. Come to find out, it was the Ohio Players. You
Mm.
know, and all these guys around here that was getting into the business and everything, and then just friends in school that we were all singing all the songs, that were coming on the radio. And it's funny, one of my girlfriends that I was friends with, she said, let me go over here with me. I know Satch. And I said, you don't know Satch? She said, yeah. So we was watching, what was it, Midnight Special or something like that. She said, I do know Satch. And sure enough, after school, we went over Satch's house. And that was the first time I saw the gold records and the beautiful um, stage and everything set up already in his house and everything, and the beautiful what was it, Bentleys and the high end cars and everything. And I was just blown away. I said, she really, we was Satch's house. That's when I seen the velvet curtains and the velvet covered bed, the first round bed I ever seen. I know people are like, you saw Satch's bed. Yes, I was with her who had a connection, that I went to his house. And then me and my friend, we just went to all the concerts, even at a young age. Um, and then I started singing at like 5 years old. I was singing in the school choir, which led me to sing throughout, elementary school and in high school. I was singing in like three different choirs at the same time. And then I started singing with local bands and stuff like that, and going to all their events. And back then, it was the mobile concerts and everything, and the singing in the park. So I was just around music all the time. And then, being a teenager, I started learning the members of Slave and running to them at high school events and all that kind of stuff. So I've always been surrounded by music. And my sister was a singer as well. And my sister had a three-girl group, like the Emotions.
Mm.
So that really got me started watching her. And then a lot of people from the neighborhood, from the community, Lakeside, and all these different groups of platypus, they would come over to my house because they was trying to court the girls. They was trying to see my sister because she was older than me. And so I would see those people all the time. It wasn't nothing. They're sitting around singing all the time. My sisters was always playing music all the time. My big sisters playing Motown and all that genre, and my brothers playing Isaac Hayes. And so I just was surrounded by music all the time. And then to have my other teenage friend, Marshall, who we would, like I said, ripping around into concerts and stuff all the time. And so I've just been in music for a long time. I started singing with an Elvis impersonator. Marshall and I and her mother, we became a group ourselves, and we started singing with background for Elvis impersonator. So we thought we was a sweet inspiration. Part two. So, I'm back there singing Huckle Burning Love and In the Ghetto and all the great Elvis hits. I loved it. That was so much fun.
And that was while Elvis was still alive, right?
No.
It was after?
Was he still, when he died, in 77?
Yeah, late 70s somewhere, I think.
So I guess he was around that time. I guess he was still alive. Yeah. But yeah, we had fun doing that. We were, we traveled throughout Ohio, the surrounding area, Troy, Piqua, Yellow Springs, singing the Elvis songs. And I enjoyed that. So that really got me singing. And then we went into the studio with this guy that we were singing for. And so that was my first time being in the studio. And I guess I was 16 at that time. Yeah. And then right after that, Larry and Roger heard about us, and they was like, well, who are these girls back here singing that we're hearing about? People were really talking about it, The word was getting out. And then next thing I know, we had a meeting with Larry and Roger, and they came over to my friend Marshall's house, and we auditioned right there in the living room. And it really wasn't even an audition. We just started singing, Roger playing acoustic guitar, and we just went from there.
What what did they say they were looking for when they auditioned you? I mean, were they looking for a certain number of female voices, or what were they looking for?
Yeah, they really wanted all three of us, and we went straight to United Sounds in Detroit, and we started working on the More Bounce album. And simultaneously working on Roger. I think it was the first one, the Many Facets of Roger, at the same time. We were so busy, and I had, rehearsals for my high school choir and stuff like that, and all the events that we had going on, singing in the malls and in the hospitals, the nursing homes, all that kind of stuff. So I was really busy as a teenager. I was really busy with music, and that's my first love. So I was loving it. I'm still singing.
Well, so growing up in that environment, I can only imagine, dream of it, because I'm listening to all that and buying all the records. And I've said this before, but for me, growing up in Los Angeles, Dayton, Ohio seemed like it was on the other side of the world. I didn't know what it was or anything about that, but the Ohio Players were my first favorite group ever. And so, I always gravitated toward that. But just to, be immersed in that environment just must have been mind blowing. But maybe it was kind of just, commonplace for you. You're kind of used to it in a way.
Yeah, just running into those people, at the grocery store, at a department store, running into Sugarfoot in the Walmart, yeah, that's how it was around here.
Wow. We talked about this before, but what do you think it is about that area that, was so fertile for this type of music and for funk?
I'm like, what was in the water here? Because they were just growing up like weeds, weren't they? Group after group. But these guys, they were so talented, and it's so funny. A lot of people tried to be like the Ohio Players, so they kind of really set the foundation. I even read Maurice's White Book, and he said they even, they tried to be like Earth and Fire was trying to be like the Ohio Players as well. So they set the platform, and then after that, and we had the Isley Brothers. I mean, music was just everywhere here in Ohio. Yeah.
So do you remember first meeting the Troutman brothers, and can you tell us kind of what your impressions were initially?
As a young girl too, meeting Roger for the first time. Roger was Roger. He was, playing with us and everything, and he asked us to sing, and we all sung our little songs and everything. And I, looking at Larry standing off to the side, didn't know at the time that's who the decision maker was. He's standing there looking all mean, and we're like, oh Lord. But we just, did what we did, and they loved it. And each one of us sung the solo, and I sung "Got to Be Real" and "Best of My Love." And then when I got to United Sound, he called me to the room just to make sure. And he and I had a private session in the hotel room. And I sung "Bet You I Got It Right." Bet You I Got It Right.
Oh, the stylistic song, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's what I sung. And he was like, "Okay, girl, I hear you, I hear you." And that's when he was like, "And you got range?" So yeah, that's where it all began. And I was kind of still fearful of Larry, first impressions, but then he softened up as well. He was nice. He could be nice when he wanted to be. Okay.
So, I mean, I only know Roger mostly from seeing him perform and the records and all that. What was he like as a person? And also, I mean, we know he was very talented, but seeing it up close, what was that like?
What you all saw in concert, basically on the stage, he was like that off stage too. He was so hyper. He was so nice. He didn't meet any strangers. And especially if it was a musician, of course, he gets to going off and playing and, talking about instruments and everything. And he actually did play over a dozen instruments. I mean, he would jump from one thing to the other. But his personality was just out of this world. He was, I don't even remember Roger being mean or being negative toward anybody. He was so kind-hearted. He really was kind-hearted. He would give you the shirt off his back. He really would. He was a nice person. So,
What about in terms of seeing him play in the studio and things like that? I mean, what was it like to kind of experience that up close?
Yeah. I was in awe. I tell you, in the studio, he he was still laid back. He was still on 12, drinking his coffee and making music. And I don't care if he was in a department store or in an elevator, he would always find something good in that music. And it could be country music, it could be classical music. He didn't care what it was. That he was just so into music, you know. He stayed at the board all the time. He slept in the studio most of the time. He was a workaholic. He really was. But to see him in action, it was extraordinary. I tell you, we were doing the Chitlin circuit, from time to time we would do the Star Spangled Banner, and the audience would just be in awe. They were in a daze. The guys, and then here I forgot that I was on stage too, and I was standing up there like a deer in headlights just staring at him. And I found myself crying on stage one time, and I was like, oh my God, he didn't get to show that side of him much, because when we were on tour, he had to be so commercialized and play all the hits. Whereas during the Chitlin circuit, he could play, top 40, any song that came to his head, and do things like that. We didn't get to do that much. Once we became Zapp, and that was overnight, we just stratosphere. We were just gone, just that fast. As soon as More Bounce hit the radio, it was like, okay, we've got a tour set up, and then we got another tour set up. So we went out with George Clinton and all that, Yeah.
Of course, I have the original vinyl still of these here to show,
That's it.
I got them all here, but, there's that one.
That's it. Yeah, that went gold. Chunky Sugar. Oh my goodness. Yeah, do it, Roger.
So, did you get to meet Bootsy and George and those guys?
Oh, did I? So while we were at United Sound, yeah, I met the P-Funk mob, and we got into the studio, and I don't know what was going on in there. I was just taken aback. First of all, being a teenager and seeing the studio was so dark. I didn't even know how they could work in there, and it was so smoky. And they were talking this language to me. They were like aliens. I couldn't understand. They just had this P-Funk conversation or whatever their communication, and I couldn't understand what they were saying. It's definitely called P-Funk Universe. You got to learn the language. So Bootsy was talking to me. I met everybody in the studio. Ray Davis, everybody was there, and I was like, yeah. I didn't know what they were saying. George Clinton, Bootsy had his glasses on in there and everything. It was wow. And then I met my girl Malia Franklin and Jannetta, and who else was there? The Brides of Funkenstein and Parlette. Some of those girls were there doing background. So I went in there and did my thing. It was great. That's when I got to go in there and sing with them. Yeah, I sure did.
Yeah, wow. That is quite an indoctrination.
Yeah. Yeah, being in there with all those people, those are legends in there. Yeah, that was great.
You must have been like floating on air coming out of some of that.
I was literally all the yeah. But I was basically dating a little small town, little country town as far as I'm concerned. I was like, what in the world? They're doing that for real out here in the open, and everybody can see them. Oh, but I wouldn't trade that moment for the world.
No way.
No.
That's priceless.
Yeah.
Did Malia or any of the other women in P-Funk give you any advice or talk to you much?
Oh, yeah. at that time, Malia kind of just took me under her wing. And because I was green, I was sitting down there kind of scared, I guess, like, oh Lord, let me get this little girl. I didn't know what to do, but I felt comfortable going up there. I felt confident. I stood up there at that mic with them, and I was singing, and they was like, and Malia said, "Ooh, baby girl can go." Then she started calling me baby girl, and she said, "Baby girl got range." Oh, I know who was in there. Jessica. Jessica Cleves was in there with us.
Oh, uh-huh.
And I was singing, and that was that. I felt good. I still feel good about that.
Yeah, Jessica had a very unusual, distinctive voice.
Mhm. Yep.
With that high range.
Yeah, I matched that range too.
Yeah. Nice.
So yeah, when Malia heard that, she was like, "Oh yeah." So I kept in touch with her, and after that, Malia ended up being, with Zapp, coming into the studio with us. So I got to work with her side by side. I mean, and then on the road, they came out, and I got the room with her and everything. It was wonderful.
Wow, I hear great things about her. I never got to meet her, but there's so many accounts of not only her being just an amazing woman in person, but just the way she also helped bring so many people together.
And she did. She really did. Yep, she brought me along too.
When you were in the studio for those first couple records, what was Roger doing most of the sort of directing, or did George Clinton do more? Did Bootsy do more? Or what did you see that way?
In Detroit, Roger was doing his own thing. He knew what he wanted, but Bootsy was there, and George was there, and then I guess really, and then when I kept going back, George wasn't anywhere around. It was then Roger and Larry and Bootsy, and then Bootsy kind of took a back seat too. Like, well, he got this, So yeah, they went on about their way, and Roger kind of just did everything himself, him and his engineer.
And Bootsy and Roger were pretty good friends, right? Or just more professional relationship, or they were real friends?
No, they were real friends. They were real friends. Well, yeah. From what I saw in the studio and stuff, and then later in the studio at Fifth Floor Studio in Cincinnati, we were around Bootsy all the time. Well, we'd see him coming in and out of the studio, so he'd stick around and see what we was doing, and, like that. Yeah. Sessions, everybody had sessions on the fifth floor. Then we started running into even the players. They moved. We all moved from Detroit to Fifth Floor Studios in Cincinnati. And so then we run into the players. We run into Bootsy's session. After that session, or before that session, was Midnight Star or something. Yeah, people was constantly running in and out the studio. Yeah, it was hot.
On fire, yeah. No pun intended with the Ohio players. I don't know if you noticed that fire cover back there.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So, Jannetta, when More Bounce just took over the airwaves and exploded, what were you thinking? What were you experiencing? What was the band? Obviously you guys had to go on the road, like you said, but what was the excitement level like? And was there a surprise that it blew up as big as it did?
I was surprised because I didn't really know how far this was going to go. I think when I took this on, I don't know what I was thinking, but I guess I thought it was going to be more like I had been doing, just running around here, singing in clubs and bars and dives, and I don't know what I thought when I said yes. If Larry was like, "Well, do you want to come? Join us on the road?" I said, "Sure, I'll go." He said, "Okay." He talked to my mother, and my mother said, "Yeah, I trust you. I trust you with my daughter. I'm putting her in your hands. I'm putting her in your hands for you to protect her, and she can go with my permission." So More Bounce started hitting the airwaves, and I was still in high school, so it didn't really dawn on me that was us on the radio, but I knew it was Zapp, and I just didn't think about it going as far as it did. And then all of a sudden, Be All Right was on the radio, and the next thing I know, Larry tells me, Net, people been asking about who's the singer on the albums. You ready for this? And I'm like, yeah, okay. And then people in school were like, I heard you on the radio. And I was like, you did? Okay. And then I would go home, and my mother was way more excited than I was about it. She was, Be All Right's on the radio. Oh, my baby's on the radio. I still, it didn't click. It didn't click with me. I was still just, just being in school. And I didn't realize you got to stop doing all this stuff you're doing. You can't even finish this. I couldn't even focus on school anymore because Larry's like, we got to go into rehearsal. It's time to go. And I mean, everything just went off so fast. The next thing I know, I was gone on the road with all these guys, 10 band members, the only girl in the band. Yeah. It was wild. It was wild.
Wow.
It was wild, though.
What?
I said, but I wasn't wild, though.
You behaved yourself, huh?
I was still a little timid, because I was bashful. And I'm still bashful. I'm very bashful, believe it or not. I know. Why did I choose to do this and to be as bashful as I am? But maybe I thought it was going to bring me out of my shell so I can move out there forward and do things even more and on my own and be a front singer. But I just didn't do it. But I love stage. I love the stage.
Well, ironically, it seems like, a lot of really good performers are pretty shy off stage,
Yeah.
I think the stage is a real outlet,
I guess so. Once you get out there, you don't have any other choice.
Yeah, trial by fire.
Yeah.
Do you remember the very first performance?
The very first performance, where was that at? We were on P-Funk's tour. I tell you what I do remember about that tour. I don't know if that was the very first show, but we went to, where were we at? It might have even been Detroit, since we were, opening for P-Funk and being introduced to the world. And on that show everybody was there, matter of fact. No, it wasn't Detroit, it was New York. It was in a place in New York because Chic, Nile Rodgers and Bernard was there, and Shaka Khan was there. Everybody was there. And so this particular night, after our show, and everybody loved us, Sly Stone was there. And Sly Stone, Roger, and Bootsy was on stage together.
Wow.
I will never forget that show. It was amazing to see all of them up there, and the crowd just went berserk. Yeah, that, and then that was the show. Because then backstage, in our dressing room was Larry Graham and Chocolate.
Wow.
Treat. And she stopped me and she talked to me. And she said, girl, she kind of had that same reaction Mally I had. She's like, girl, baby girl, you out there doing your thing. And she said, you remind me of me. She said, I'm watching you. You keep on doing what you're doing. And that, my head just swelled all up. Coming from somebody like her, and then to meet all these ladies that I listened to, because I thought I was the one singing on Your Love Means So Much to Me, girl. I thought that was me. Yeah, I just loved her so much. I was like, God, I'm out here with these people that I've been listening to their records all these years. It was great.
I love Patrice too. It was a real kick for me when I got her on the phone. She did this show a while back, and when I got her on the phone for the first time, and just to hear her say chocolate, was just like, whoa, that is so cool.
Yeah. You have to say it like that, yeah.
Yeah. So, man, so did you get to meet Shaka?
Of course. Yes. So we did did a few shows with her too. Yeah, it was wild. Yeah, but it was fun. Yeah, of course, man. To meet her, because man, I'm a huge Rufus fan. So I went way back with her too. So yeah, I was so stunned. Like meeting these people and meeting her. She was nice. She was cool.
Wow.
Hmm.
So I know early on, Roger did some shows, or Zapp and Roger did some shows with Prince. Even were you part of that too?
Yeah. What tour was that? We went on we went on two tours with him, but one of them I remember was the Controversy tour. We went on that very first leg with him too when he came out because Vanity Six wasn't even really Vanity Six, I guess, at the time. But they were there, and they were back there just doing stagehand stuff for the group, I guess. And then it was Zapp and the Time and Prince. Yep, sure was. Yeah, man, that was a show. And meeting Prince, and seeing him every day and talking to him just like I'm talking to you, you know, that's pretty special. Because that was before he got real huge and wouldn't talk to nobody, and you couldn't look at him, and you couldn't take pictures with him, and all that kind of stuff later. But we would hang out with Prince and the band in the time, and we would go to clubs and stuff afterwards and stuff. We had big fun, even though we got in trouble for going. We got fined for going with them, but we didn't care. We were gonna take that fine because we was out hanging out with Prince. That was fun, going to clubs, dancing, and having fun with those guys, Jesse and Jelly Bean and Terry and all those people. Oh yeah, it was great, great.
Wow, the original classic time lineup, and that Prince and Roger show that did not come to Los Angeles because I would have definitely been at that one. Because I saw, Roger when he did his shows, and I saw Prince when he did his during that era. And I don't think that tour came to Los Angeles, but
really, I think you're right because when we were in Los Angeles, by that time we were playing with Rick James,
mm-hmm.
but Prince came to the show.
Oh.
He came right onto our dressing room. He was cool like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Sure. Everybody was at that show. I think Jane Fonda and Mr. T, and there was a lot of people at that show.
Do you remember, was that the one at Long Beach Arena?
Yeah, that was Long Beach. Yeah.
Yep. Went to so many at that place. When these two records were done, though, Jannetta, do you know if it was decided, like when it was being created, like which songs would go on Rogers and which songs would go on Zapp? How did they decide?
I don't know. All I know was, I was in there singing tunes from both of the CDs, both of the albums, and I didn't realize because I'm in there singing "Do it, Roger, do it," and it ended up on Roger's album.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. Now that I think of it, that makes sense. But we were doing it all at the same time, so I didn't know. I didn't even know we were working on a Roger album. I really didn't. I didn't know they were two separate albums. So yeah, I ain't know nothing about that.
Yeah, I mean, even for me as a fan at the time, it was kind of curious, how that was decided because the sound was virtually the same, and the same people, and
Yeah.
yeah.
And I don't even know when they decided to do that. To be kind of separate, trying to be like Parliament Funkadelic. Yeah, we was trying to be like the Funk Mob, I guess. But it worked out really good. Because Roger should have been doing his own thing. And as we went out to the world, we came out as Zapp. We were Zapp. It wasn't an individual. It wasn't about Roger. Sure, Roger was the leader of the group, but we were Zapp. Everybody in the band was Zapp. And then, like you said, then we had the solo thing, which was Roger. But on the show, it wasn't separated. And then later, we started calling it Zapp featuring Roger, so people would know that he was there, But yeah.
for people who never got to see it, that show was so exciting in the beginning because, Roger would come in from the back on the shoulders of the bouncers and playing his guitar. You would hear the guitar and you're like, where's that coming from? And then the spotlight would go on him back there and he would be coming in from the back. And was that like something that was right at the very first shows, or did that get introduced at some point?
No, we brought that along later. Yeah. And when we started doing that, oh my God, we would be on stage so long, waiting for him to get up on that stage. Because you got people now pulling at him, and at first it started on somebody's shoulders, and then it went to a little chariot thing. Did you see that one? Where it finally been a little platform we brought him out on and everything. He was playing his guitar, he was standing up, and it was the lighted guitar and everything.
I don't know if I saw that. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, it started getting bigger and bigger. And then he would have on the lighted suit and everything. Yeah, and we were still upstairs, still on stage. Or I don't know what happened. It seemed long to us, even though it really wasn't probably that long. But we were standing up there, do it, Roger, do it, Roger, do it. The band was tired by the time he got up on stage, and now he's all hyped and jumping up and down like he was.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, he was the entertainer, I'll tell you. But by the time he got up there, the horns, everybody was tired.
What was he? What were the rehearsals like? Was he a taskmaster or what?
Oh God, the rehearsals. We rehearsed from 8 in the morning to 7, 8, 9, sometimes midnight. Oh God. Yeah, it was crucial. We hated it. We didn't like our rehearsals. We were like, come on, this is too much. I mean, we know. And then on top of that, when we got to our concerts or to our hotels, for the next concert, we would practice or rehearse. We would find a spot somewhere in the hotel in a vacant room. We'd ask them, their room to do this, and we would rehearse some more. We rehearsed all the time. We rehearsed in advance. You couldn't get no sleep half the time. You had to listen to the show back because we recorded the shows, cassettes back then. We recorded the shows. We listened to the shows constantly. People took tapes home and listened to them. So it was constant rehearsal. We rehearsed from sun up to sundown. Put it that way. We were good to get out of there sometimes at 5 o'clock in the evening. And Roger wasn't always there. See, Roger would be in the studio, and then we put the show together, and then he would come and just go through the show with us, like, well, y'all show me what y'all got, and then he joined in with us.
And how aware were you of the sort of falling out that happened with Roger and that first record and George Clinton's company and that whole kind of mess that happened?
The funny thing about that, I didn't even know anything about that until later. And I'm like, ooh, what? You were supposed to be on Uncle Jam Records? That, I didn't pay attention to all that. I was just living in the moment and just doing what I was supposed to do instead of getting in people's business. And then I heard later about the so-called carrying the tapes out and was stealing the tapes from the studio and stuff like that. Yeah, I didn't know anything about that. And that's so out of character. That doesn't even seem like Roger to me.
Well, was that more of a Larry thing, maybe?
You said it. I'm pretty sure that's who the mastermind behind that was. Yeah, was stealing tapes. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I wasn't no part of that. So.
Yeah, well, it's
that in a book.
Right. It certainly worked out for Roger and Zapp, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mean, the hits kept coming, and the Zapp 2, and we got that here too, and there's that cool picture on the back.
Oh yeah. There I am.
Yep.
Yep.
Dancefloor, Playing Kind of Rough, Do I Diddy. I mean, did you realize at that point how much it was just going to continue on and just keep rolling out hits and million sellers? And
Yeah, at that point I thought it was going to happen because when we hit those coliseums and stadiums and arenas, then it was like the Jacksons or something. People as soon as we get out the vans. Now, mind you, we had vans. We didn't have no buses. At being on tour a whole year or two, we still didn't have no buses. Year 2 or 3 year, we didn't have a bus. And we would jump out these buses and people were like, why are y'all in the van? We would jump out the vans. People were like, why are y'all in the van? And we were like, why are we in the van? But anyway, because we were balling then. We were making the money. And we was just on everybody's top of everybody's list. We were in demand. We was out with everybody. And then after that, we got on tour with the Commodores. That was our second tour with Commodores. And we got with the Commodores and we thought we was living life. We thought we had arrived. And so that just showed, then we started seeing the levels of the tours and how well the promoters take care of you, going from cold cuts in the dressing room to really having hot food in the dressing room. On the Commodores tour, we ate just like the Commodores did. They had roast beef and steak. That's what we had. Mashed potatoes and all that kind of stuff. Whereas the first tour, we had cold cuts.
Moving up in the world big time.
Moving up in the world. The hotels got better and everything. So we went from the little Days Inn and the Super 8s to the Hiltons and the Hyatts and the Holiday Inns.
That's a long way from the Chitlin circuit.
Yeah, that was good. We went from there, from the Commodores to touring with Gladys Knight and the Pips, and then I was just in awe again because that's my favorite singer. I just love Gladys Knight. As a little girl, seeing somebody look at me on TV, it was like, oh, I just fell in love with her, and I've been a fan of her every day. And then to meet her, and she was the kindest person. Her and her family. Bubba and all the rest of them, they were just so kind and loving and southern, that southern hospitality. And now I call her Auntie Gladys because she just kind of took me under her wing too. Oh baby, y'all leave that baby alone. That good, it was just beautiful. It was just a beautiful thing to meet her and just so many others, And every time we played we didn't get to play with Patti LaBelle. Every time we did the cool jazz or something, Patti LaBelle was there either the night before us or the night after us. Mm. So that was about the only one, because after that I just met all the people that I just, played their music all the time. It was great.
Did you see they had that Instagram thing with Patti against Gladys?
Yes, wasn't that beautiful? That was just a friendship. That was in a battle. That was just a true friendship of friends sitting there singing songs together.
Yeah, I'm a Gladys guy myself. I posted that online, so I was happy with the way it turned out. But Patty's Patty. She's fine too. But Gladys is just really something special for me.
Yeah, for me too. And I just saw her probably last year, right here in Dayton. And I sat in that audience and cried because I was just like, look at her at 70-something years old still doing this. Mm-hmm. And she looks amazing and she sounds just as good as she did then. And Patty sounds good too. I haven't seen Patty in a while though, but those Gladys and Shaka Khan did it for me. Yeah, I was a Shaka fan. Yeah, I was a Rufus fan.
I loved Shaka is my number one. I also like Tina Marie too quite a bit.
Oh, stop the madness! That's my girl. So my top was Gladys, Shaka, Tina Marie, and then Whitney Houston. And who after that? It's just so many of them. Yeah. But I love me some Tina Marie. Oh, everybody that knows me like this girl, Tina Marie. She is just Tina Marie crazy.
Did you meet her?
I finally met her. And I didn't meet her when I was on the road. but I met her when she came here the day before concert. And my good friend, when I was working at the radio station, he said, "Oh, girl, you are not going to believe who was in the studio." And he just snatched me up. His name was Bosley Blunt. I'll never forget it. He just snatched me up. He got off the elevator. He just pushed me in the room. And there was Tina Marie in the room. And I was like, "Oh, my God." And I hugged her, and I stepped back, and I started singing to her. I started singing I don't know. I started singing to her one of her songs, and she said, "Girl, get out of here!" And she was just in awe. She was like, "Oh my God!" But yeah, that was amazing. And I kept telling myself, I'm going to see her concert. And that concert got canceled that night because she came here. So I'm glad I met her in the studio that day. For whatever reason, it was at a club, and I don't know if it was something with her family, but anyway, she had to leave, and she didn't do the show. And then I kept telling my husband, I am going to see Tina before she dies. And I know I said that, and I kind of put that out there. And I saw her in 2010 in June or July. She died then. And I just felt like, damn, did I put that in the atmosphere like that? Because I said, I want to see Tina. Both of them happened. Because that's how huge a fan I was, and I never got to see her in concert. And boy, I stood up at that concert. I'm like, "Hi, Tina, I'm here." Like she could hear me. The people in the stands looking at me like, "Girl." I'm like, "That is my Tina. I don't know what you're talking about. I am here for Tina Marie. I don't care who else is on the show. I'm here to see Tina Marie." And I am still that way today. On my playlist is Tina Marie. Right now, Tina Marie, The Emotions, Shaka Khan. I listen to the same old people all the time. I got a little bit out. Now I'm listening to her and what is it, Ari Lennox and some of these new people that are out there today. Those are the ones I'm listening to.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah. Good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But this here kept coming with Zapp 3 and Heartbreaker. This might have been my favorite because Heartbreaker and I Can Make You Dance, Do I Diddy Live. I mean, there was like, every one of them had like at least one monster dance floor hardcore funk jam, but this one had like two of them. So
yeah, I like that one. Was the Buck on that one too? And Spend My Whole Life? I forget.
Which one?
Spend My Whole Life? Look at me, I had to turn around and see myself.
I'm sorry, I couldn't make out.
Spend My Whole Life? And the Buck?
Yeah, Spend My Whole Life. Yep.
I like that album too.
Yeah.
I really like that album. And then I Can Make You Dance. Make you dance. Yeah. Yeah. I had a story behind Make You Dance. We was in the 5th floor studio. And we had rehearsed so much in the studio. And we were recording. But it seemed like we recorded I Can Make You Dance all night long. And then we kept, Roger kept throwing the kitchen sink in there. And it was like, okay, now, you know what? I got an idea. Let's do this. Let's do that. And let's do that. And I'm like, we can't even hear half the vocals in this. Especially after the song was done. I was like, we can't even hear half the vocals we put on there. But I had a meltdown. That's how hard we were working. And the song was great, as it was. And then it was like, okay, Ned, I want you to do one more thing. And I said, okay, Roger, all right. And he said, I want you to do it. And then you could hear that very, very low in the background. So I'm like, so that wasn't even necessary. And I think it was like 3 a.m. I got so fed up. And he was still sitting there thinking of more things to do with this song. So, that's an over-producer. And I threw the headphones off and I stormed out, got on that elevator. I was gone. I got on 75 and I was driving back to Dayton. I was mad. And then I started thinking, oh, Lord, Larry going to fire me in the morning. And then the next day, I didn't get a call from Larry. I just heard they say, hey, we got a studio session at 6 o'clock here. I drove back to Cincinnati, got in the studio, and I was just waiting. Here it comes. And Larry came too, so that's why Larry came. He said, you know what, guys, I want to apologize to y'all. Because y'all, you all had just come from rehearsal, and then you come into the studio. Yeah, we had just rehearsed all day. And then you come into the studio. And we were very inconsiderate. And, I want to apologize. And you all go ahead and take off. You can take off. And, do a little bit tonight, and you can take off. So, yeah, my tantrum actually set that up, but I was ready to be fired. I was like, oh my God, he's going to fire me. But he didn't. He was understanding. He told me that. I'm sorry. So we need to do something to eat. Come on back here. Let's finish this, and then we're going to go home. And so after that, I think they tried to start making time limits. Like, okay, y'all, we got to be at the studio by midnight, at least 1 o'clock in the morning. You can't keep people in here all day and all night. And then they got to be in rehearsal at 8 o'clock in the morning, and you get out of the studio at 3 o'clock in the morning. We over. Everything that did was just over the time.
Well, they're like, we can't have Jannetta doing that again. We got to change this up.
Right. Yeah, we don't want her freaking out. Oh, I think I bought the Dalek shirt. All right.
And you met your husband through the group, right?
Yeah, Michael K. Warren. That's who. He's actually from Lincoln Heights, Ohio. But, they always say he's from Cincinnati. And Mike came afterwards, but he came in as an addition to that. But he came on early on, I guess it was about 81, 82, something like that. And he really changed the dynamics with the sound because he's the one that's on Heartbreaker. And all the other, when the song got to be big horns, you can tell the difference because Mike brought the pow to it and that out. But Mike was, but I met Mike, it was so funny. I was seeing Mike at the clubs and stuff around Cincinnati. And actually, I saw him at Bootsy's birthday party in Cincinnati. I was like, oh, remember that guy I seen earlier. And, then the next night I see him again. I'm like, remember that dude I seen, last night at Bootsy's party. And then I go into the studio at 5th floor, and there he is again. I was like, oh, look at that dude again. Look at that Mike dude. And Michael was in the studio with Bootsy, working on the Count.
The One Giveth. Yeah, right.
Yeah, he was working on that album with them. I looked in there and he was with Kush and Larry Hatcher and Maceo in there too. It was the funk horns, I was like, oh shoot, there go that Michael Warren again. Didn't think nothing about it. That was on a weekend. So that Monday, when I got to rehearsal, there was Michael Warren. He was with Zapp. He enjoyed Zapp. Now, I had just heard he had just did some work with Ohio Players and other people. And I'm like, God, that guy. So, he came in. Our other horn player, Jerome Derrickson, and him knew each other. And kind of all those guys worked along each other in Cincinnati, in their local bands, and like Greg Jackson and all of them, they all kind of ran in the same circles. And who was it? The Calloway brothers and everybody. They all went to school together and everything. So that funk just tied in right there. So Michael ended up joining us and going out on the road. And then he and I was friends, in the band for all those years. And we definitely wasn't thinking about, being romantic. I was kind of a playboy, being on the road. Mike had all the women in the world. And so I wasn't looking at him like that at all. And everybody was like, kind of shocked too. They was like, oh man, but y'all should be together because y'all been together a long time. Every time I see y'all together. Y'all look so cute together. And Mike was like, mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, right. But yeah, we ended up getting together in like 85, 84, 85. And then we got married in 1990.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah.